Had a lot of parts come in today. Got my wheel hubs, set of points, axle bearings, sprocket hub, both sprockets for the jack shaft, 10 feet of chain. I've got another hub coming for the brake rotor. I got the whole brake system coming, which is the caliper, hose, and master cylinder. Jack shaft should be here hopefully tomorrow. Speaking of jack shaft, let me show you how I'm going to mount it. Alright, here's how I'm going to do the jack shaft. I'm going to put me a piece of tubing across here. Then on top of that piece of tubing, there'll be another piece come up. Another piece come up out here. Do the same over here. Then I'll have a piece of 1/2 inch plate on top of them. Then on top of that, I'll have my pillow block bearing, and then the jack shaft run through the pillow block bearing. I believe it'll be okay, so let me get started doing that. Here's the pieces for the jack shaft mount. These will be welded to the frame over there. Then this will set on top of them. Then the pillow block bearing will set on top of that. These holes are tapped for 3/8 bolts, but I can't weld it on yet because I don't have the shaft. And what I want to do is get the shaft sprocket on, get the chain on, and run this all the way up in these bolt holes, and then bring the whole assembly back to tighten the chain up, weld it. Then when the chain loosens up over time, I'll have a little bit of adjustment here with this pillow block bearing. So I gotta wait till I get that shaft in before I can weld this to the frame. Well, here's the axle bearing. It's just a flange mount pillow block bearing, self-aligning. And I'm gonna cut a plate out of 3/8 to go here. I wish I had 1/2 inch, but I don't have any. Anyway, cut that plate and mount that there. Do the same thing over here. So let me get the plates cut, welded in, and get these bearings mounted. Got some more parts in. I feel like a kid at Christmas. Here is some key stock, jack shaft, the brake system, which is caliper, master cylinder, and hose. Got a brake rotor hub and brake rotor, but the holes don't line up on this. They almost do, but not quite. So I'm probably just going to pick 4 holes and re-drill them. So now that we got the jack shaft in, we can go ahead and get the jack shaft frame welded up. So let's do that. let me show you a little trick if you ever need to line up 2 sprockets or 2 pulleys or whatever. Get you a straight edge, put it on one, and you got to rock it back and forth till you get it flat. And then you can move your other pulley or sprocket or whatever around till you get them lined up. And it's pretty simple. Well, fellers, the jackshaft mount looks pretty good, with one exception. I doomised a little bit. I forgot to put this chain up here and gauge where my feet there needed to be before I welded it up. So now I am maybe a quarter of a length off. I may have to loosen it and put a tensioner on it. I'm not real sure what I'm gonna do just yet. I think I'm gonna go buy me a lottery ticket tonight. I don't know how in the world I did this, but I put a chain on there and it fits perfect. You know, I was gonna try to loosen these bolts, slide this back, and then add a link and then put some kind of a tensioner. I'm not gonna have to. The chain is perfect. How in the world I did that, I don't know. But I think it looks pretty good. I guess next I need to do my adapter plate for this sprocket hub here. And then my brake hub will be over here, so I'll have to make a mount for the caliper for it. And I think we might be done back here. So let me get started on that stuff. And here's oh, by the way, if you go to the motorcycle store, they'll sell you a 530 chain for these sprockets. If you go to an industrial store, they'll sell you a number 50 chain for those sprockets. It all depends on the industry, but they're exactly the same. Well, I got lucky again for the second time today. The inside of this sprocket is barely hitting the flange on the nut all the way around. And that's got me pretty much lined up, so I don't have to do any lining up. I mean, you can't get much better than that. I am going to have to notch just a little bit after I punch my holes. So let me get them punched and drilled and then get this ground out a little bit, and then this will be done. sprocket adapter. I think it'll work pretty good. Just a go-kart. If it wobbles a little bit, it ain't gonna hurt nothing. I think tomorrow I'm going to try to get the caliper mounted and get the sprocket on and chain on, and we'll pretty much be done with the back end. Remember how I said I thought I was going to have to drill these holes out? Well, this little bolt that come with it, it fits in that hole. So I don't think I'm going to drill them out. I'm just going to put them bolts in. If they break, then I'll have to modify it, fix it. Same thing over here on this one. That's the same kind of hub, same bolts. They're awful small for a sprocket, you know, for this kind of horsepower. But I think I'll leave them. If they break, then I'll drill it out and put bigger bolts in it. Well, I just noticed something putting this rotor together. Normally, you'll have a set screw where your key is, you know, to run that set screw in and mash down on your key, keep it from coming out. Well, there ain't one on this one. There ain't one on that one. This is what you get when you buy Chinese junk. Alright, I got the axle in, got sprocket on, got the rotor on. I got all the keys in, everything. I got the set screws tightened up. And let me tell you about this Chinese junk. This is the key that they sent with these hubs. It would not fit in the keyway. I had to grind it. Chinese junk. Anyway, I completely forgot that I've got to make a tensioner for this chain here. So after I get this caliper mounted, then we got to come over here and build some type of tensioner for that. So let's get started on this caliper mount. Well, I got another issue with this cheap Chinese junk I bought. If you can see in there, the pad is right at the top of the rotor. And look at that mount and that bolt right there. They're hitting each other. Now mind you, this rotor came with this caliper, so they knew where the mounting holes were. Again, cheap Chinese junk. Alright, here's the plan on mounting this caliper. I ground that edge off right there so it don't hit the bolts anymore. Then I made this bracket right here. Just 2 bolts, and then I notched it out there. It's going to go about right here, because you got to have your bleeder on the top. It'll go about right here, and then I'm going to bring a piece of square tubing right here, weld it to this, and of course I'll cut this off. And I think it'll be strong enough. I believe it won't flex on me. Well, I'm glad to get that done. It turned out pretty good. It feels pretty sturdy. I don't think it's going to be flexing on me. But I got to looking at them. Those brake pads are really small. I don't know if it's going to be enough to stop this thing. I guess we'll find out eventually. Anyway, now I need to make me a tensioner over here. So I guess I'll get started on that tomorrow. Alright, let me show you how I'm going to do this tensioner. I got this idler sprocket right here. It'll be right there. We'll put us a piece of tubing about right there. We'll get us another piece of tubing, weld it right here. And then there'll be a flat bar right here with a slot cut in it for this bolt. I think it'll work pretty good, so let me get all this stuff cut to size, get this flat bar slotted on the mill, and then I'll weld it in. Yep, that just happened. Right here, cutting the last few pieces of metal too. Now let me see if I can weld one up. This machine is the most aggravating machine that ever was made. You got to get just a tiny little gap in between the blades, and it still won't weld half the time. Alright, here we go. That sounded okay. Oh yeah, that's not a bad weld there. Alright, now I got to anneal it. Let it cool down. I'm going to anneal it again. Let it cool down. Then I got to grind all that slag off the weld. Well, it's on. We're fixing to try it out. I like to tune my blades to about a B flat. Just right. Well, that seemed to work, so let's get this stuff cut. Well, I think that'll work. It don't look bad. It lines up pretty good. I had to loosen this sprocket up here a little bit, slide it back and forth to get it lined up right. But if I have to move this whole chain, all I got to do is either add or take away spacers right there, and that'll let me move that in and out. Here's something else I'm probably going to do. Remember how I said these keys didn't have a set screw over top of them? I'm probably going to take this back apart, drill and tap that one, do the same thing for the brake. But we have made quite a bit of progress. We're pretty much done with the back end. I still got to pull the motor off, flip the go-kart over, and do all the welding on the bottom side of it. Then we got the controls, all the foot pedals. Got to do electrical, gas tank, put the points on, see if we can get it running right, and we get a little closer. That'll do it for this video. Hopefully, part 4, we'll get this thing finished. We can get it outside, ride it, see how fast it is. Once again, appreciate y'all watching. Hope you enjoyed it. If you don't mind, hit that subscribe button. Like, comment, do all that stuff. It'll help the channel out. And until next time, go do something. We'll go. Get on.